Thank you so much for joining my presentation today, and it is on how to win friends and influence people, strategies to agitate and advocate for the resourcing and support your service needs. So I have no disclosures. So a little background to myself and my daughter. So Niamh was diagnosed in 2003. Now this diagnosis came out of the blue. She literally crawled in on her hands and knees one morning to me and said, "Mummy, I can't walk." And I looked down and her knee was swollen up like a balloon. She had no bruising around it, so I carried her to play school for a couple of days. And then I contacted my local hospital, who asked me to come in. Of course, her bloods came back clear and they were quite baffled to what was going on. But at one time I met a registrar who had been working in Our Lady's Children's Hospital in Crumlin, and he recognised the signs as a rheumatic disease and sent me to our National Children's Hospital in Dublin. So here I met a cardiologist who had an interest in rheumatology, and he was the one who diagnosed Niamh. So this diagnosis was something I'd obviously never heard of. I didn't know what was ahead of us, so I really had to educate myself on the disease. And I became her voice because she was only 4 at this stage. She really didn't know what was going on. And I remember asking her recently, did she remember much about the early days or the diagnosis? And she said, "Mummy, all I can remember was you crying." And that's probably how I spent the first 2 years of Niamh's diagnosis. I was looking at a child who couldn't walk. I had to carry her everywhere. It was really frustrating not knowing what was ahead, not having a paediatric rheumatologist in Ireland, wondering whether I should travel to England to get support, having to give up my job because now we had physio and OT appointments and ophthalmology appointments, and even going to Dublin was a 2-hour journey away for us. I remember seeing this very early on in Niamh's diagnosis, and it's really stayed with me. So you may not be a parent of a child with arthritis, so awareness may not seem like a big priority. The day before my child was diagnosed, I wasn't an arthritis parent either. And really our life changed with Niamh's diagnosis. The whole path I thought myself and my daughter were on just changed completely. Having to give up work, really not knowing what was ahead for Niamh, it was very, very scary at the time. So in 2006, Orla Killeen came to Ireland and she established the Paediatric Rheumatology Service. I was absolutely thrilled to have Orla over. And we met a few times outside of clinic to discuss the service and what her vision was and how we as parents could support her. I was meeting parents in a rheumatology clinic now, which was absolutely fantastic. I wanted to chat to them. I wanted Niamh to see other children with the same condition as she had. We had a private forum on Facebook, and really it gathered pace really quickly with all the parents I started to meet. And in 2013, BSPAR, the British Society of Paediatric and Adolescent Rheumatology, was in Ireland for a conference. And Orla asked me to go along to have a listen to some talks and to meet some charities. And I met a charity that day. Well, I actually met 2 that changed my life completely. I met SNAC and I met the CCAA. SNAC were parents who had set up in Scotland, and the CCA was an English charity. But what really resonated with me that day was they had a rheumatology nurse sitting at their desk that day, a retired rheumatology nurse who really wanted to give her time back. And really, Brenda and Caroline that day spoke to me for over an hour. Their passion for supporting families was exceptional. And I really felt I had met kindred spirits. And they supported me and the parents that were helping me to set up the charity in Ireland. This is myself and Orla at a press conference that I'm going to talk about later. So setting up ICAN as a charity became a priority because I needed to set up a charity to really be taken notice of, to make it more established as a support group. So we picked 3 themes that we really wanted to concentrate on: and raising awareness, supporting families, advocating for better services. And even in these early days, raising awareness for me was about juvenile idiopathic arthritis. I didn't realise how many other rheumatic diseases were out there, how many autoinflammatory diseases were out there, how many different conditions our paediatric rheumatologists were seeing on a daily basis. Yes, JIA is the most common, but we have lots of other families who have varying different conditions and needed the support from us. I also needed a focus to help me deal with Neve's diagnosis. I was not working. I was wallowing in a lot of self-pity for myself and Neve at the beginning. So I really wanted to give myself a focus and to give other families something that I wanted when Neve was diagnosed. A listening ear. Somebody there to pick up a phone. I never ever wanted another family to feel like we felt, or another parent to feel like I felt at that very beginning stage. So we're a volunteer charity. The financial impact of setting up a charity was huge on us as a family. I didn't claim any expenses until we became a recognised charity and we achieved charity status. So this was this was pretty hard at the beginning, but I felt it was something that I needed to do. I wanted to get an established charity underway. I wanted to make sure that these families were supported. And this is a photo that was taken very early on at a coffee morning. And there at the front is Annie. And Annie had moved to Ireland from New York. And as it happened, when we eventually got our second paediatric rheumatologist, who happened to be Dr. M.M. McDermott, this was Annie's son's rheumatologist. So Annie was so supportive of ICAN at the very beginning, and we lost Annie to cancer very soon after this. And that had a huge effect on me, but also gave me the drive that I needed to pursue ICAN and what we were doing. And Annie believed in it 100%. So I thought, we can do this. Some tips I can give for anybody who is starting out in their journey is networking and learning from other established charities and advocates. Now, this is so important. They have been there and done that, whether it's in oncology or cardiology. They have all gone the path that you are starting on. So I met with them, I learned from them. Not only did I meet the charities, but also I met the services and see how they were working with the charities. Meeting with health service executives and policymakers to highlight under-resourced services. This was a huge step because lots of the health service executives didn't realise how much of a priority paediatric rheumatology was. The policymakers really didn't understand what our families were feeling financially, emotionally, and I really wanted local representatives to meet their local families so they could sit down and talk about them, what mattered to them, what they needed in a service. Now, using case studies to show the impact of a late diagnosis, this also was something that the policymakers wanted to see because they talk money. If they can save money in any way, then they will listen. And we were able to show that if we got an early diagnosis for the child, that this would have less of a financial impact, a less of a drain on the service. Lots of media interviews to raise awareness. Joining BSPAR and ENCA also was hugely beneficial to me. And it also helped me look at the paediatric rheumatology services on a European and global level. And it really showed me what was going on in other countries and helped me push for the services that I could see were working elsewhere. Now, the press conference that we had in 2016, this was a turning point for our services in Ireland. We invited elected representatives to come. We invited the media to come that day. We had Dr. Orla Killeen speaking on the services in Ireland and where we were and what we needed. We also had families there to talk about their journey and the impact this diagnosis had on them. And as a direct response to this, 2 years later, and literally it took us 2 years of battling, we were awarded 11 new members of staff to join the team. I will never, ever forget getting that phone call I was so excited to see all that hard work come to fruition, and I was so thrilled for Orla Killeen and all the hard work that she put in and the vision she had had. No talk on paediatric rheumatology would be complete without looking at our PReS Council. And I am so lucky to work with an amazing PReS Council who give of their time so generously. And I'm very lucky to represent ENCA on this PReS Council. So another initiative that's really close to my heart and something that can be easily replicated is called the UCD, University College Dublin Patient Voice in Arthritis Research. Now, it was Dr. Emma Doris, who was a lab-based researcher, who had a real interest in parent, public and patient participation in research. So she put a call out for adults and children, parents who were interested in coming to chat about the research in arthritis in Ireland. So I went that evening. I was the only paediatric rheumatology representation that night. And I really got on with Emma like a house on fire. I could see her passion was like mine. She really wanted to make a difference. So I joined the steering committee of the Centre of Arthritis Research, and I'm now the chair. We have done so many collaborations together. A lot of those were done through Word Day, which is another initiative I'm involved with. So Word Day is World Young Rheumatic Disease Day. And this was the brainchild of Dr. Eve Smith. And Eve has been really inspirational and has led from the very front. This has been an initiative that has been going now for the last 3 years. And we really have gathered momentum. Whether you're a researcher, a trainee, a paediatric rheumatologist, a parent, a patient, a carer of a child with arthritis, this is an initiative that really can change and can make a difference to your service. So if you haven't linked in with Word Day already, please do. So just some other initiatives I think that are really important to talk about and can make a difference in agitating and advocating for services. I'm always networking and meeting people, always looking for ways that can feed into the work I can do. So I joined the National Centre of Research in Dublin recently. It's the Scientific Advisory Committee. I'm the first non-clinician to be involved. And the children's research that's going on there is absolutely amazing. So it's pushed me outside the comfort zone of just paediatric rheumatology. I'm able to see all research. I've been involved in lots of initiatives, lots of research, Autoinflammatory Rare Disease Council, the global task force that Helen Foster and Chris Scott have spearheaded has been just amazing. They do phenomenal work. And through that, we have learned from one another and met some amazing advocates who want to make a difference in various different countries. I've also worked really closely with the Systemic JIA Foundation in America. And as we all know, Rashmi does an amazing job there. As I said, I'm the ENCA rep on the PReS Council also. Now, a couple of things I want to finish off my talk today, just worth noting, is the fact that we have some amazing charities, advocates, people making a difference to services globally. And most of those are volunteers like myself. But I have got so much back from the work that I have been doing. But financially, it's been really hard. And now as Niamh has got older, I find that I need to work now. Financially, I need to work. I would love to stay doing what I'm doing now full time. Nothing would give me better pleasure. But at the moment, I can't see a way I can do that. So I suppose I'm appealing to you all to embrace the advocates. If you can financially support them in any way as part of the team, this is well worth doing, because we can see having an advocate on your team can make a huge difference to the service. Linking in with charities, working together, we can all make a big difference. We have come a huge way in the last 10 years, but I'm also excited about the next 10 years. And I really want to see paediatric rheumatology rolling off the tongue of the... May we always be as strong as our children. Thank you for listening today.